Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our event, Women in Engineering Day. Happy to have you all here. I'm Mariam, and I'm your host of this event in the upcoming hour. Let me tell you something about us. At ING, we have talented engineers and inspiring leaders who would really love to share their story with you. Therefore, we organize this event and also many more in the upcoming year. So hopefully we can inspire you to to see you again at our other events this year as well. Before we start, some practical information before the first talk. Each talk will take about 20-25 minutes in total, and after the first talk we will proceed directly to the second talk, as the two talks are a little bit related also to each other. And we do the Q&A of both talks at the end. So if you have any question, feel free, please, to put them in the chat box. But know that the speakers will answer them at the end of the second talk. Be aware that there is a 20 seconds delay between the live streaming and the YouTube. So then you know. And let me introduce to you to our first speaker. Our first speaker is Roxana Dragomir. Welcome, Roxana, and she will, I want to now hand over the screen to her. Roxana will give us some interesting insights in workforce trends and the tech market. And Roxana, take it away.
Thank you, Mariam. Hello, everyone. I'm really happy to be virtually with you today. You know, I was talking the other day to one of my colleagues who is, by the way, a tech leader, and she was saying that this pandemic really challenged the way we live. And particularly for us women has been really difficult to cope with this period because besides our usual work, we need to take care of so many other things, like we need to cook, we need to clean our houses, we need to take care of our life partners and the kids. And she was like, unfortunately, you cannot program the kids when to be hungry, when to ask for your help, or simply ask for your attention. Kids are not robots, and you just need to cope with this situation. Another colleague from communication was making the remark that nowadays we need to jungle instead of juggle with all of the challenges. At work, the same output is expected from us. It didn't change. However, the context did. That is one of the reasons for worsening the gender job divide, as mentioned in an article published in Financial Times. Many women across the globe decided during this horrible pandemic to leave their jobs in order to simply deal with their personal duties. And another trigger is that women have been employed in a far larger proportion than men in domains hit or even massively impacted by the COVID-19 crisis, like accommodation, food service, trades, arts, and recreation. In fact, one of the few domains proving resilience even during these horrible times was tech. And today, I will try to give you an overview of trends in tech workforce in the pandemic context, and we'll take a closer look at the tech workforce in European Union, understanding why we need more women in technology. You should be aware that the information is shared with you applying my HR professional hat as well. I am a global HR business partner, being in charge of driving the people agenda for the 4 technology and operations hubs created by ING to provide services at global level to the bank. Currently, there are around 6,000 employees working in these hubs located in Poland, Romania, Slovakia, and Philippines. I've spent the last 14 years working in technology and consultancy companies, and I have an educational background in international relations and business administration. And my free time is spent with my family, very much centered around my 9-year-old daughter, who is already passionate about STEM, already initiated in Scratch, already building simple robots and learning the basic controlling, for instance, of the Ozobots. But coming back to my tech experience, I would like to share something with you that I remember in a very vivid way. This is actually one of the many situations I had to deal with as a woman in a male-dominated tech domain. I was invited at the second round of interviews at a tech company which had approached me via LinkedIn with an interesting job opportunity. The first interview had been virtually with the hiring manager who was located in another country. Now, I remember the second interview, the moment, because it was scheduled on premises, and I remember the moment I entered the meeting room, there were 4 or 5 senior leaders waiting for me there, all men. Obviously, I felt intimidated, but I really had to pull myself together very quickly in order to go through this entire experience. I was 27 back then, so a young professional, and they were all leaders with quite long tenures in the company, very direct, very straightforward, and asking a lot of questions. Well, the conversation became actually interesting. And at a certain moment, I realized that the initial overwhelming feeling of being in minority was not quite justified. And eventually, I worked several years for that company, and we built together quite a few number of successful programs and teams, and we actually even added very talented women in the engineering teams that we've built together. But this image of having many times one woman or few women in this man-dominated tech world is far too spread. Women can get intimidated or demotivated. But we need to face the reality. And the reality is that in European Union, men represent the vast majority of the IT talent pool, 82.1% from a total of 7.8 million tech specialists. And these 7.8 million represent, in fact, around 3.9% of the total European workforce. These are official numbers released by Eurostat in 2019. Is this 7.8 million the total tech talent pool? Is it enough? Is it a lot or simply too small? Well, I can tell you that companies have been signaling for quite a while that they had been facing difficulties in filling in their vacancies in tech. And there is more. According to European Union officials, we should expect around 7 million job openings in STEM by 2025, two-thirds replacing retiring professionals. Of course, a portion of them will directly hit the tech domain as well. Moreover, worldwide, there were 53.2 million employees in tech in 2019, and the projection for the tech jobs is to reach 62 million in 2023. So we do have a challenge of a limited tech talent pool, clearly with women being underrepresented. The interesting fact is that in European Union, 51% of the total population is represented by women. And another interesting fact is that women make up nearly half of the total global workforce, but only 25% of all jobs in tech at global level are held by women. Therefore, I can extrapolate the conclusion that there is a way to enlarge the tech talent pool besides the talent import strategy from one geography to another, which does not move the needle for the overall tech workforce. The solution is, in fact, to attract more women in technology. Not only that this will translate in a positive impact for the domain itself, but it will also have a major positive impact on society and on women's lives. A research done by McKinsey reported that up to 160 million women globally may need to transition to other professions by 2030 as an effect of automation. Actually, the COVID crisis only accelerated the existing trends. And by now, we should all be aware that the economy becomes more digital and data-centered. The acceleration brought by the COVID crisis will have an impact on the way we interact, on our behaviors, on companies and states. Essentially, we are going to continue to be vigilant when it comes to our safety and health, while favoring a certain form of interaction. The companies will focus on increased productivity and resilience beyond efficiency while preparing for a hybrid way of working. Technologies like RPA, automation, distributed cloud, and cybersecurity are in the center of companies' efforts to strengthen their value proposition, optimizing processes, and converging to a digital by design offer. An article released by Gartner underlines that hyperautomation is the foundation for the future of work, becoming even a condition of survival. But what is this hyperautomation all about? What does it mean? Business-driven hyperautomation is an approach used by an organization to quickly identify, fix, and automate as many IT and business processes as possible. It implies an orchestrated use of multiple technologies, tools, and platforms, and examples of this can include artificial intelligence, machine learning, RPA, intelligent BPMs. Again, even before the pandemic in 2019, the CEOs were very much preoccupied by outdated processes, actually ranking outdated processes as their top challenge. And all of these trends that I've just mentioned clearly have an influence on workforce trends as well. There are evidences that digital skills are no longer specific to tech. In fact, the analysis done on job requirements posted for jobs in domains such as marketing, sales, business development, and even HR and finance show a clear evolution towards more tech-connected competencies. What happened in the financial services domain during the last years is also very relevant and confirms the trends. The financial services domain has hired more tech roles than traditional finance roles, clearly signaling an increase in these skills. There is a need to have specialists with digital competencies even outside the tech domain, specialists who are able to understand data, who are able to use data through dynamic dashboards, and who could become real partners for their IT colleagues in the effort to make the work more productive. And we need to understand that there is no way we can resist these trends or hide. We need to be aware of what is already here and furthermore, what is coming in our way. We need to proactively upskill our competencies so that we remain relevant on the labor market. The good news is that employers as well will invest more in upskilling and reskilling efforts. And another good news, especially for us women, is that besides the hard skills, there is a clear tendency coming from employers to prioritize and search for soft skills, and particularly in the context of the future hybrid way of working, employers will search for soft skills such as flexibility, empathy. Actually, empathy proved to be a differentiator during the last year, during the crisis, and will continue to remain a differentiator in the hybrid way of working because it's so important to show sensitivity towards the others. Proactivity is another important soft skill. It enables managing work independently and knowing when to escalate concerns. Transparency is also very important to build social cohesion and trust when psychological proximity is not guaranteed. And finally, critical thinking, because we simply need to move towards a model of making decisions and evaluate issues or situations based on facts, data, and objective analysis. And you know what? Researchers show that women are statistically more inclined than men to demonstrate and develop these soft skills. The way of working The new way of working implies more and more collaboration and self-steering. Like, for instance, what is happening in the fusion teams, the multidisciplinary teams that come together in order to build a defined product. These type of teams represent a reality in the companies already having implemented the agile way of working. An example of this type of team is, for instance, a team composed out of professionals coming from a variety of departments such as marketing, sales, IT, operations, user experience, having the mission together to build, for instance, a new banking digital product. We at ING, we have been experiencing it for quite a while. And we came to the conclusion that in this particular setup, diversity and inclusion becomes even more important because it is directly linked to productivity, creativity, generating new ideas, and increased engagement. And diversity should be understood in a broader perspective, not only from gender point of view, but also diversity in terms of culture, nationality, and age. ING is very well aware of this, and we are driving forward our diversity manifesto, educating our managers to walk the talk. To sum up, although the digital skills required more and more can put a pressure on women, there is a clear favorable context which can enable women in technology or women with tech competencies to shine professionally. But then, why is it so difficult to close this gender gap? Remember that in European Union, 82.1% IT specialists are men. The countries in European Union with the highest women share in the talent pool are Bulgaria, Lithuania, Latvia, Romania, and Estonia. And I think it's important to be aware that in these countries, historically, women have been encouraged to study and work in STEM domains. And you know why? The answer is simple, because the job security and the income predictability were higher in the STEM domains than in other domains like arts or drama or recreation or administrative and office jobs. Did you know that globally only 35% of STEM students in higher education are women? Moreover, 3% of female students in higher education choose information and communication technologies. In European Union, the percentage is higher, but still remains very modest. 17% of ICT students across EU are women. That means around 221,000 young girls across all EU states. Well, that is the main trigger for the existing disparity. The talent pool is not sufficient and the pipeline is very, very light. The self-selection bias is the major reason for girls opting out of STEM. The choice is, of course, influenced by stereotyped ideas about gender roles. And let's face it, girls do not have enough role models in tech. They don't, nor counseling around career orientation. Without a conscious choice and strategy coming from states, NGOs, companies, closing this gap will be almost impossible. And it's high time to do it. Again, not only to increase the tech talent pool, which is already lower than the actual demand coming from employers, but also, and more importantly, to equip women with future-proof competencies. There is a need to rethink the educational system, starting with early stage education, stimulating girls' interest in STEM. And there are scientific proofs that little girls mature and have the ability to make connections sooner than boys. So an adjusted curricula and well-prepared teachers can actually help to start building both interest and skills since very early stage. Hands-on experience with STEM activities allowing experimentation can bring the concepts and future projection on career path can bring them closer to girls. Obviously, parent support and mindset are crucial to be able to make the leap. In the same time, companies are important players and can become game changers, and employers should start by making sure that the talent acquisition process is bias free. Employers can also continue by designing talent development interventions while paying attention to diversity and inclusion and making sure women are encouraged to step into the right roles. Mentoring is an example of a very efficient talent development intervention which can be deployed dedicated to women in technology or throughout many other departments. At ING, for example, we have globally 12,000 specialists working in tech, and 76% of them are men. Our countries with the highest women representation in tech are Romania with 36% and Turkey with 35%. And as a very positive example of successful trends in global data management domain, we have reached 46% women representation. We also see that women have started to be more present in the leadership roles, and that's exactly the right direction. Developing women and gaining a voice in the leadership teams can boost engagement and retention. To summarize, employers need to step up and play an active role in the communities where they are present by partnering with NGOs, partnering with other companies, and encouraging their employees to become volunteers and actively contribute to increase the talent pipeline for women in tech. And for you ladies already working in tech, it is imperative to be aware of what is coming in your way as trends, to be proactive, to continuously develop yourself, and very important, trust that you are in the right jobs. Encourage your friends outside the tech domain to develop upskilling or reskilling strategies and assimilate the digital capabilities which are so important for their future. Become the role models for the young girls, instilling them the growth mindset, and reassure yourself and your colleagues that it is okay to have a family and a career. It is okay to have dreams. It is absolutely okay to become a leader or a high performer. It is okay to ask for help when you need it. Remember that as women, we are naturally inclined to demonstrate the soft skills needed now and in the future. So be flexible, proactive, empathic, show critical thinking, and enable transparency. Invest in yourselves and dare to dream. Thank you. Mariam, back to you.
Oh, Roxana, thank you so much. Some great insights you have shared with us today. And yeah, and very nice how you really highlighted the soft skills as trends, and how you also described what companies should do to increase the talent pool of women in tech. And of course, the important takeaways at the end. Really loved it all. Thank you so much, Roxana. And people at home, as mentioned at the beginning, we move straight on to our second speaker. If you have any questions for Roxana, feel free to put them in the chat box so you won't forget them. And we will pick them up after the second talk. And I'm about to announce our second speaker. And let me introduce to you our colleague Bahar Savas. Bahar will share her story of starting as an engineer career, starting an engineering career, stepping into leadership positions, and why and how she tries to be a role model as a woman leader in tech. The floor is yours, Bahar. Thank you.
Thank you for the nice introduction, Mariam. Yes, this is Bahar. I'm Turkish, and Bahar means spring in Turkish. So that's why I put the beautiful flowered cherry tree in my introduction slide. I love my name. So I want to start with a question first. I think Roxana has given the baseline for this question. Can you please guess what's the percentage of women students in computer engineering faculties in Netherlands? Because I'm going to ask this a couple of slides later. It's not a quiz, of course, but just to make you think a little bit. So I want to start personally with who am I, because I really believe that it relates to what I want to tell today. I'm 45 years old and I'm Turkish. I grew up in a small city in Turkey, and my parents were not university graduates. And but education and graduating from university, having a good career was always the most important thing in my family. Although they didn't do the education, they always supported me in my decisions, in my career. So I always appreciate my family for that. And with their support, I became a computer engineer. Currently, I'm IT lead for assisted channels in ING Netherlands, and we are, as a big team, delivering platforms and applications for our employees. And they are being used globally all over the world in ING. But my job is, of course, not only technology, not only development or delivery of the applications. It's about people. It's about development of the people, development of the teams, mentoring and coaching people, and trying to bring out the best performance and best capabilities outside the teams. And of course, creating a vision and creating change in the strategy. And more personally, I'm married for 23 years, and I have two daughters of age 15 and 19. As all mothers, I'm really proud of my daughters, and you will hear about them in my speech because they are part of my journey. As I said, I'm a computer engineer. I'm a woman. I'm working in tech for 24 years, and I'm leading a big team of engineers. Right now, it's around 250 engineers. But in addition to that, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a friend, and many other things as all you are. So today I will not show you the researches or tell about the statistics or numbers, because Roxana's speech was really on that. I'm just going to try to support it with my own story, trying to tell you who am I and explain you my journey, which started as an engineer and now it's continuing as a tech leader, and which started in Turkey but now in Netherlands. And I want to a little bit emphasize what were my key takeaways in my journey, what were challenges I faced as a woman engineer, and sometimes what were the advantages that I faced, of course. I truly believe that we need to increase the woman presence in the technology and in the leadership. I really try to be an inspiration or a role model to young women and also, of course, men, because I was really inspired by many people throughout my journey. And I hope this presentation also makes you inspired a little bit. So, who are these kids on the left? I wish I could tell you a story that I was the girl there. I was into tech from the very young age. I was very techy. I always wanted to be an engineer, but unfortunately, it was not the case. Believe it or not, I have never used a computer before I went to university. Then how I became an engineer, I think I was lucky because I was not trapped in the stereotypes that were on the young girls. I had a very good science teacher and I had good scores in math and science, and he really encouraged me to be an engineer. He explained me that it's not a boy thing. I can do it and I can do it very well. And I'm really grateful to him about this because I'm really happy about what I have been doing for 24 years. But even though I didn't face it a lot, we cannot say that there are no stereotypes. There is a big stereotyping for girls and boys, starting from the very early childhood. If you go to a toy store, for example, you can see that a pink aisle with baby dolls and pink dresses, some kitchen tea sets for the girls, and robotic sets and science sets and 3D Legos for the boys. So starting from early age, those stereotypes really makes the girls and boys think that these are boy things and these are girl things. And when these young children become teenagers, this directly impacts their career selection and university graduate education selection. And at the end, what we face, we have really limited number of people having computer science education in the universities. So this is not because girls cannot do that, girls are worse in technology or math, it's because they don't select it. They feel that they are going to be marked as nerd, I don't know, boyish, or they are going to be seen as less woman. So they don't select it. When I went to university, I found myself exactly in the same situation. There, I was in an engineering class of 50 engineering students, and only 7 of them were women, one of them me, which is exactly 14%. So you might think that it's in the 90s and it was in Turkey. So it should be really better right now in the middle of Europe and in 2020. So, Mariam, do we have any guesses in the chat for this question?
Let me see. No, not yet, but maybe you can ask the question again.
No,
once again, and then I will. Yeah.
No, let's continue because it was just for thinking. So I want to say that it's today in Europe not much better than in 90s and in Turkey. So these are the two statistics for the best technical universities of Netherlands, Delft Technical University and Eindhoven Technical University. So you in the red circles, you can see that one of them has 17% of women students and the other has 19%. So it's not better, much better than 25 years ago. And I have to say that my daughter is studying computer engineering in Eindhoven, so she is one of the 19% there. I'm really proud of that. Is it better in the world? So it's not good in
Bahar?
Netherlands? Yes?
Bahar, sorry to interrupt you, but I see some figures coming in.
Okay.
Maybe I can share it with you. 25%, 25%, 20%.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are a few. Yeah.
Yes, there are few.
Yeah, okay.
The thing is, it's not better in the world also. For example, if you look at US, it's more or less like this. And the bad thing is it's declining over the years. If you look at the last 3 years, for example, it's becoming worse. So why don't these girls opt for engineering, especially for computer engineering? Because as I say, there is a huge stereotyping about girl jobs and boy jobs, woman jobs, or man jobs, whatever. So if we do not get rid of this stereotyping, I think it's really difficult to create the gender balance in the organizations, whatever we do. And we have to be really a good role model for the girls that are thinking of having a computer science education. We have to show that you don't have to be nerdy or techie or I don't know, techie, but you can also be really into dancing. You can like cooking, you can love fashion, or you can wear high heels, you can have a family, have children. So these are not either or situations. You can have them all. I want to show you a couple of pictures about this. You remember I told you that I have a daughter having computer science education. This is her having studying at the library, coding, and this is also her, a fashionable young girl outside and having a good time. One of my biggest hobbies is cooking, especially cakes, and decorating them. And these are some of the cakes that I have done throughout the years. And this is also me making a speech at a women's leadership conference. So it's not about you are either love cooking or you are a good leader. You can be both. But we have to show, especially young women, that it's possible. We can do it in our way. You can do it however you like. One day you can be techie, the other day you can really be whatever you want. And I want to also add a couple of things about women leadership, because there are some stereotypes also women leaders that's being spoken everywhere. I mean, being more vulnerable and being too naive, oversensitive, too soft sometimes, very emotional. If you face those type of stereotypes, do not apologize for them and embrace them. That's fine, and that's who you are. And please be who you are and be proud of it, because that's the reason why you are there. You have to show your difference. You have to show your woman side, maybe woman perspective, because this is the definition of diversity. Diversity means bringing different perspectives, and sometimes it is being maybe too naive or too emotional, but maybe it's the thing that your team needs. So don't be sorry for that, and don't apologize for that. I want to tell a very personal experience about the unconscious or conscious biases, but this is not about people having unconscious bias for about the woman. It's more about the biases that we have about ourselves, because sometimes we are not judging ourselves really good. We are just thinking, I'm doing something really standard and that's okay. Anyway, let me share you. A couple of years ago, I was going to attend a conference, Money 2020, and it's one of the many conferences that we all join day to day. And I made a registration. After the registration, they sent a mail saying that they have a woman leadership empowerment program, Rise Up, and if I would like to apply for that program, they were going to select 30 women from all around the world, and there was a really good agenda for those 30 women leaders. And the first thing I thought was, why should they select me? Because I was a woman. Okay, I was leading a big team, but I was a woman in a Turkish bank, and there might be many interesting people around, and I was not going to apply. But then when I read that mail, there was a sentence there that really hit me, and it's circled there, but maybe you cannot read it. I just want to read it. And it was saying, don't doubt yourself, your potential, or your qualifications. Such that negative voice in your head. Bang. It was a negative voice in my head saying that not to apply to here. So it really inspired me, and I said, okay, Bahar, go apply and see what's going to happen. And I started the application process, and this application process was really itself very eye-opening, because there were 15 questions there that you should answer like an essay, and I started to write that. The questions were like, what was your best leadership experience and why? What was your worst leadership experience? What was the mistake you have done there? Or if you are involved in the women inclusiveness programs, why you are doing. So these type of questions, many different questions. And what happened, writing down all these were really a big reflection for me. I realized what I have achieved over the years, and I realized that I never thought about them. Because sometimes, not sometimes, usually, when we are working or when we are living, we are just running and we are just looking ahead, but we don't turn back or we don't pause and think about what we have achieved or what we have done or what we have done, should have done better. So writing down was a big reflection for me. And I was not doing that before this experience. And I now think that it's really something making a difference. You have to write or think about this. Maybe you don't like writing, but think about what you have achieved and what you have done and what should you do better maybe. So I have completed the application, and then 3 weeks later, I get an email that congratulating me about being selected to a bit into this 30 woman, and I was part of this Rise Up journey. And joining Rise Up was another inspiration for me because there were 30 women leaders from all around the world, from China, from Singapore, from India, Japan, US, Netherlands, Turkey. The most interesting thing was all the woman problems, all the inclusiveness problems, all the woman stereotypes we have been talking in Turkey for years were more or less same all around the world, in all of the countries. So it was really a good takeaway for me. I realized that this is not only a local problem, and it's same all over the world, and I should really be more involved in those type of woman inclusiveness events or programs. So this was the one thing. And the second thing was more personal, in fact, because in these 30 women, I was the only woman who was still working in the country where she born. All these women were having international careers, working all around the world, and at least worked in 2 or 3 countries. So I felt myself really inspired there, and I think this was one of the first inspirations that I applied the position in Netherlands for where I am today. So, of course, the next thing, as I can share as a takeaway, is we have to always challenge ourselves. This is really important as a woman, of course, as a man, but more as a woman, I believe. We should never stay in our comfort zone. Because if you are doing something easily and if you are not challenging yourself, this means that you are not learning anything, you are not growing. And I think this is the worst thing that you can do to yourself. So please challenge yourself. If you are in technology, it's easy because technology is changing very quickly and you can always learn new technologies and opt for different courses and start to develop or code in different technologies. That's always possible, and that's something really good about tech, I think. But of course, it can be something else if you are challenging yourself. For example, I started MBA when I was 41 years old. I know that it's not a big achievement or a big deal because many people do MBA, but it was a challenge for me at that time because at that point, I was working really hard. I was leading a team of more than 100 engineers in ING Turkey, and I had a family, and I had 2 daughters, and it was really difficult for me. But I took that challenge and completed this MBA. It wasn't easy. It was challenging and difficult for me, but it was really rewarding also. These studies opened a new world for me. I met super inspiring people outside of my own area, outside of tech, that have been really good steps in their careers, and it was really inspiring. But as a woman, I think what I feel is we are sometimes less confident about ourselves to take new challenges. And it can be an educational thing, like I said in MBA. It can be applying to a new position. It can be opting for a promotion. But please raise your hand and use your voice. Speak up when you want a new challenge. And if you do this, and if you challenge yourself a little bit, believe me, it's going to be worth it. Is it going to be difficult? Yes, for sure. It's going to be difficult. But sometimes if you don't take the difficulty, you can't take the benefits also. So please challenge yourself. But while challenging ourselves, I think we should be a little bit careful there. I want to share this picture. This is drawn by my daughter, my younger daughter, in one of the Mother's Days. And I was really happy and emotional when I took this because we are all superheroes for our children. All mothers are. But do not try to be a superhero everywhere. Keeping the work-life balance is really difficult. And I have to say that it's a little bit more difficult for the woman. And the parameters in this equation are not only work and life, it's more complicated. There are more things you have to keep the balance. And if you are a woman and if you are trying to be a superhero, it's really more and more difficult. And maybe you can relate to that. It's usually asked to women, how do you manage all? How do you manage two children and being a leader and being a tech? I don't know if you ever heard this is asked to a man. How do you manage two children? It's never asked. So, but please ask for help. You should not manage this alone. Ask help of your partner. Ask help of your friends, your family, your mother, or your kids. Don't take everything on your shoulders. Share the responsibility because we have to share it. Yeah, life is sharing. And if you feel really, really overloaded, sometimes press the pause for a couple of days and recharge your energy. This is really important. And time to time, some part of this equation might be heavier. If you just had a child, for example, you want to spend more time with your child. If you just did a promotion, maybe you need to spend more time at work. But adjust yourself according to the equation. And of course, I'm going to say it again, ask for help. And of course, role models. Roxana also said that. Role models are really the most critical thing because people cannot be what they do not see. So if young girls do not see successful engineers, women engineers, successful women leaders in tech, then they think that this is not possible. This is not doable altogether with being a woman. So we have to be a good role model for young engineers, young women, and we have to show it. We have to share what we experience. I think sharing makes you stronger, and not only share your achievements, share your failures also, because they also tell a lot. I can easily say that the direction of my career changed after I started to work with women who are role models for me. And because they showed me that I can be a good tech leader, and in addition to that, I can be a woman, I can be naive and vulnerable and emotional. I can do it all. I saw that it's possible. And after seeing that it's possible, it was easier for me. But of course, I didn't work for women all the time. I also worked with many intelligent and supportive men, and I'm still working. And they also helped me to grow. They supported me to be who am I. And the opposite is not possible, I think, because if we say that 80% of the tech population is men, if men are not supporting women, it's not going to work. Just women supporting women will not be enough. We need men as allies supporting us and supporting the woman in the technology area. But finding good role models is not the only thing. We should be role models to other young ladies, young children, girls. This is important. Each of us especially have huge impact to our kids. Please help your kids and be a good role model for them. I think it's one of my biggest motivation to mentor or to be a role model for the young woman. And also I'm really proud that if I am a good role model to my daughters, of course. And of course, what I have talked about up to now is more about you. I don't know, take the challenge and speak up, find a role model, be a role model, perfect. But also find the right place to work. I have to say that I was really blessed to work in the places where the woman in technology was really supported. Woman leadership was really supported and opportunities were there. I was always brave enough to raise my hand and step in for the challenges, for new positions. But my managers, my leaders, and my organization was always fair enough to give this chance. This fairness is really important. Even if you do your best, if it's not in the organization, I think it's difficult. And I think I'm really proud that I'm working in ING in this perspective, because ING is really fair to women in all type of selection and promotions. So this is like a summary, but I want to say that creating the gender balance or woman in tech type of thing is not only creating new opportunities for women. It's not for giving a job to a woman when there is a more qualified man candidate, because that should not be fair. We should be fair in our selection processes. But it is about bringing more women into technology so that we have equal number of equally qualified women and men candidates. We have the pipeline, we have the woman talent in our environment. Once we have it, I'm sure that we are going to have more and more women in our organizations, and this percentages, those numbers, those balance will be going up. And I really think that we should encourage women to speak up, really, and increase their confidence and raise their hand when they are when there's an opportunity. And this will also increase the gender balance in the organization. Lack of the diversity means lack of creativity, lack of innovation, lack of talent, because this is not only woman diversity, it's about age diversity or culture diversity. They are all same. When we have more diverse working environment, we have more innovation, more creativity, because people alike tend to think alike. When we have different perspectives on the table, it's good for the organization and for the team. But if we don't have woman talent in tech area, this means that we are losing 50% of the talent potential, because 50% of the workforce is woman, but we have only 17% having tech education. So this means that this talent we are just wasting, we are not using. When we say that tech needs women, I want to say that for creating a better technology environment, a better organization, we need woman perspective. And as women, as men, as leaders, we should do our best to increase diversity in our organizations. Thank you very much, Mariam. I think from my side, that was all.
Thank you, Bahar. So nice to listen to your story, and it's also nice to see that your story and Roxana's complement each other so well. Also, and you are so right about the stereotype environment we live in. It's almost crazy, right? And I love to hear about. What you said about your experience along the journey, and the takeaways you give us also made me think of a quote, never stop learning because life never stops teaching. And why is it that also women are not easily, they don't ask help very easy? I should do that also more often with my 2 kids. But yeah, being a good role model is also very important. So thank you very much.
Hi, thank you.
For this story. Okay. So from insight to a personal story, thank you both. Maybe Roxana, yes, there's Roxana also. Let's move to the Q&As. And as I mentioned, I hope there are some questions that you can ask to Bahar and to Roxana. Let me go briefly through them. There were some questions here and there. So Julianne has a question for maybe one of you. For companies with very unbalanced ratio of men and women in the company, do you have suggestions as to where to start to improve the situation?
Can I add something here? Yeah, I think first of all, I don't believe in quotas and ratios, I have to say, because I think that's not fair. If we have a set of applications, of course, we have to fairly assess those applications and select the best candidate. But what we need to do is we need to create a good working environment for women where there are no biases and women are treated equally like men in promotions and in normal working life. They are supported, and I think we need to a little bit promote it because if it's not known, more women apply to that company. I know that from my experience in Turkey, for example. In Turkey ING, we have a really good woman-man ratio in tech. It was around 34%, as far as I remember. And what we have done is we really promoted that we are treating women and men equally, and a woman can speak up in ING and they can be comfortable as a woman in ING Turkey. So if you promote it and if the technology woman out in the market know that, they apply for that company, and I think it increases the ratio.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to the next question from Anand Shukla. Roxana, I don't know V and R what they what that's meant, but chapter of 50% men and women, you talked about diversity having a broader definition. How do we ensure the intention is to actually have this embedded in our culture and not just filling template?
Yeah, I think the question is indeed how do you drive further, and how do you make the leap between probably what you talk, what you preach, and what you do. I think it also I emphasized during my talk, it all starts with a conscious choice, a conscious strategy that the employer and the company actually designs, because if that is missing, basically there is no point to even discuss about the importance of diversity and inclusion. But if the company has a conscious choice to actually drive this subject and to put it high on the agenda, then clearly the employer realizes the benefits. And I think the benefits were emphasized by both me and Bahar. It is a direct link with increased productivity, increased engagement, creativity, innovation. So clearly, and that is not only words, there are statistics, there are researchers who show this direct link between diversity and inclusion and the benefits for an employer, not to talk about the benefits for the employees, because also an inclusive environment is clearly more beneficial for all the employees. And we can there are plenty of ways to do this. Again, starts with the talent acquisition process that needs to be bias free, and there are multiple solutions for this. Continues with talent development strategies to ensure this, let's say, diversity, not only from the gender perspective, but making sure you do have a blended workforce in terms of age, culture, nationality, and also talent management strategies to make sure that you do have in the pipeline, for instance, for succession, a diverse workforce and successors. So there are plenty of strategies that a company can roll out. The important thing is to be a conscious choice, and indeed the company or the leaders in the company to walk the talk. I don't know, Bahar,
Exactly.
would you add anything to this?
Yeah, I fully agree. Yes, nothing to add.
Maybe a similar question also from Joanna. How do you make a talent acquisition process bias-free? My company often hires men as they tend to be more experienced rather than giving women a chance.
Yeah, I think that there are two aspects here. First aspect is, or first question that I would like to tackle is indeed how do you make sure the talent acquisition process is bias free? Well, for instance, the first answer is technology. Right now, there are artificial intelligence solutions which can be deployed and ensure that the entire process goes smoothly, at least the first, pre-screening selection process. But then, even if you don't have, such solutions, technical solutions, again, it starts with the conscious choice of the employer. And if there is this conscious choice, obviously the solution follows. For instance, you can drive the selection process in such a way to ensure that you have a structured process in terms of interviewing, that you have the interviewing all built around competencies rather than, just gut feeling selection, that you ensure a panel of interviewers, not only one or two, a panel having clear score sheets against competencies. Again, not against the gut feelings of the interviewers, and then calibration sessions to ensure that various opinions are taken into consideration. And when you think about how to actually form this panel of interviewers is also important to ensure diversity there, that multiple perspectives are represented in the panel of interviewers.
Exactly.
Yes, especially I fully agree that the interviewers' diversity is really critical there. And in technical roles, I think we have really help of technology because we can do technical tests to our candidates right now. And these are really bias-free because whatever you code, it's scored there. And it really helps to bring out the exact score. But after that, of course, we still another interview level. And in this level, it's important to keep the interviewers also gender balanced, and so that have different perspectives in scoring the candidates. Yeah.
But and I just want to come back to the second, to the second point from the question around, men being employed in a far larger proportion than women, and I think that's actually rooted in the fact that simply this is the talent pool that we have in tech. I mean, again, let's face it. Very few women are working in technology. You cannot expect to be the other way around, to have it the other way around, because there is not enough pipeline for women in technology to really select from there. So again, I think it's up to all of us, men and women, to, be conscious of that and start proactively doing something from tomorrow or this evening. Start doing something in order to increase this talent pipeline, because otherwise it's going to get worse and worse.
Thank you very much. Let's jump to the next one. Also, Anand again. So it's nice to have a male here also asking questions. Bahar, thank you for sharing your story. Inspiring. Coming from a different geography and perhaps a culture, the generics of leadership might not have evolved. And then I think, there's a second question here, right behind that one. It's connected with each other. But as people are at the core of what we do to be IT customers or our employees. Let's go to this question. Did you have to do any changes in leadership style when you walked into a different cultural context?
Yes, this is really nice because I was working in Turkey in a same type of team. I mean, tech team, application development team, developing platforms, and also development engineers. And also I was in ING, and company culture was more or less the same. But of course, the country culture is different here. But what I want to do is I want to stay as Bahar because I have a style as a leader, and I think I'm here as a woman leader, so increasing woman diversity in leadership, but also increasing the cultural diversity in leadership. So I think this is something what we are looking for. We are not looking for exactly adapting to the country that you have moved. So I'm trying to create a balance between who am I, where am I coming from, my leadership style, and of course my team's working style. I'm trying to create a balance between them, but not trying to 100% adapt. Yeah.
Thanks. Then we go to Flavia. Could you share your approach regarding mansplaining? In my experience, they don't hear your recommendations, and the majority of time they just come back asking how to fix what you advised to not to do. Oui, okay.
Difficult question.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to say, especially for mansplaining. But what I can say is, if you have a clear idea and perspective about a topic, an issue, please be confident and share it. And don't think that, okay, I'm the only woman in the room, I should not share my idea. Don't do that, and share it and defend it to the last point. I think that can be the suggestion I can give here. Yeah. Because usually most of the women in tech are in a room, one or two women. So don't be shy because of this, and share what you are thinking.
And also good thing, just to mention, the interesting thing is there are plenty of great techie women. Even 45, 50 years ago, they got shadowed by men unjustly. But they have, they always have been there. Tech is not a men's thing.
Yeah, and just maybe to exactly, I also fully agree. And maybe something interesting to share. Apparently, in the 80s, the women's share in technology was higher than what it is today.
No.
So it was actually it was actually better. And yeah, you know that, for instance, Ada Lovelace was one of the parents of the computer science domain. So if we go back to the history, clearly women have played a major role in technology and computer science.
I have to add something here. It's not directly my thought. It's from one of the articles I have read. But in the 80s, there were no personal computers at the homes, and the technical development toys or programs were not reachable to both boys and girls. So it was equal. Chances were equal. So because of this, there were more women because there were no stereotypes. But then when it's more reachable and more technological toys and science sets and development kits were all around, and when it was more matched to boys, those stereotyping started, and the woman in technology has started declining. So there was an article about this.
Okay. Thank you, Bahar. There's also a nice one to see. How can I, as a male leader, contribute to creating a gender equal environment at ING? And we are doing so much to support more diversity at ING. But what can we do more? to
Listen
even
to the
more
woman.
improve. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good one. Yeah,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
yeah,
Be
we
fair.
bring more. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and next question. As a young woman who just started a software engineering course, what advice can you give me about pursuing a career in tech and not being intimidated by the ratio of men/women in the industry? Good question,
Yes.
Justine.
First of all, I want to first congratulate for starting the software engineering course. I think you did the first step. This was the most important step because, as Roxana said, as I said, we don't have the pipeline, we don't have enough talents. But I think I cannot emphasize it more. Be confident and do not think that you are in a man's world, in a man play, and be confident about your talent, what you are doing, and go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, and be confident that you are exactly in the right role, very, very future-proof in terms of domain, and especially very resilient in terms of crisis. Just speak up and yeah, trust yourself.
Ah, nice. It's a nice closing answer also because we don't have any other questions anymore. So thank you so much. And we are also over time. So thanks again for joining us. And a special thanks to our speakers, Roxana and Bahar. Really enjoyed it. And everybody at home or wherever you are, I will send you all a very short survey to evaluate this event. You will really help us with that. And it will only take 3 minutes of your time to fill it in. And so please, give us some feedback. Thanks a million. Have a great evening, everyone, and hope you will join our next Women in Engineering Days this year as well. We will have some more editions up in the upcoming year. Don't forget to subscribe in this channel, on our YouTube channel, so you won't miss a thing. Thanks again. Looking forward and have a great evening.